Today I want to talk about cohabiting. I hope all this sex I'm talking about will not cause this video to be flagged. He comes back home and is asking me what are we eating. I'm going to ask him, say it with me, am I your wife? So whatever you were overlooking because it didn't matter because you guys are just having fun, now you're married and it actually matters and the man is irritating the heck out of you and you're like, how did I get into this marriage? Allegedly. So somebody will slap me with a lawsuit. Allegedly. Self-control is not something that is needed just so that you can cross the finish line into marriage. Marriage as God designed it was supposed to be difficult to get out of because you are worth fighting for. Hello everyone. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear this, but it's about to rain and I honestly don't care because it's been raining for like, I don't know, for like 2 months back to back in Lagos. Like every day is raining. I'm like, kilo day, what is it? Normally, what was that? Normally, as a creator, you want the best weather for your video because you want to be able to film with good lighting. You know, sunlight is the best lighting. You want to be able to film with that. And I just decided that, you know what, I'm not going to keep waiting for the weather to be perfect anymore. I'm just going to film my video. So I don't care if it rains, but hopefully you guys don't hear the thunder and the lightning and the pitter-patter of rain. I just hope that you're able to hear me clearly. And yeah, welcome to my channel. My name is Ezinne Zara. If this is your first time coming across my beautiful face, I hope you don't make it your last. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It's always fun over here. And I know that today's video seems a bit, the title is, but don't worry, it's a safe space. And we're going to have a very, very beautiful conversation. Without wasting any much more time, let's get right into it. So before we start, I want to put a disclaimer. This video is for Christians and for people who want to submit their lives to the Lordship of Jesus Christ. This video also doesn't cover every single type of situation there is when it comes to this topic, because I know that there's going to be somebody who is going to talk about their auntie who's lived with her boyfriend for 7 years and everything still worked out. Like, we're not talking about your auntie, all right? We're not talking about the exception to the rule. We're talking about the majority. Because a lot of times when conversations like this come up, people always have an example of somebody who did something that wasn't the best and it still worked out, and then encouraging everyone to go that route, when for most people, 7 out of 10, if not 8 out of 10 people are going to end up worse off because of that situation. So again, this is a conversation for Christians and for those who have decided to submit their lives to the Lordship of Jesus Christ. If that is not you, exit stage left, or you can stay and hear what it is that we have to say. So with that out of the way, let us get into today's video. But today I want to talk about cohabiting, like living with your partner before you get married. And today I'm going to be arguing against it. You know how in secondary school you have literary and debating society? Some people will argue for, some people will argue against. I was actually a member of the literary and debating society. So today I'm here to argue against why you shouldn't live with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your fiance, your fiance before you get married, because I think it's a very important conversation to have. I'm going to be sharing 7 reasons why I think that is not ideal. And the purpose of this video is not to condemn anyone. It's not to make anyone feel like they are so far away from God and you will never want anything to do with them again. That is not the idea. I just think that there are so many lies that we are told by media, especially by Hollywood. I feel we see them doing movies about boyfriends and girlfriends, kissing, making out, all kinds of things that ideally God created to be for the confines of marriage. We see people having one-night stands. You go out somewhere, you get drunk, you meet a guy, you take the guy to your house, you sleep with him, and it's painted through romantic lenses. They are rushing, they are struggling to get their clothes off of each other. It's so dramatic, and it's like, oh, this is the apex of affection, or this is the apex of love. Like, this is when you know it's real. This is exciting, this is adventurous. Meanwhile, people who have done these things in real life, if they're honest with you, will tell you how things like one-night stands have complicated their lives. You know, some people have gotten STDs, some people have gotten pregnant, in as much as every child is actually a blessing. But the complication of not even knowing who your child's father is, or not having an intimate relationship with the father of your child, like, these are things that God puts in place for your safety. But, you know, Hollywood paints it as, you know, restrictive. And so even in Hollywood movies, we see that when a guy meets a girl and, oh, they are getting serious, the mark or the height of, oh, I'm taking you seriously, is that the woman will bring out a key and say, here is the key to my apartment. You can come over, you can live here with me. And so that couple starts cohabiting. And sometimes you even hear people say that, oh, marriage is what spoils relationships. You know, in some movies, you hear them say things like, I don't need a paper or the government to make what I'm having with you legal, to make you real. In fact, once we put a label on it, it's going to spoil. Okay, we're going to have a very interesting conversation today, as you can see. When I was in uni, this was something that was encouraged a lot by the people in my uni. There was this rhetoric that I always heard that, oh, you had to live with the person for a while so that you really know how they behave and whether they are somebody that you actually want to be married to. And I think that logic crumbles under 7 reasons, and I'm going to discuss 7 of them with you. The first one is that I think it is directly against the intrinsic nature of Christian marriage. And please hear me. The idea of Christian marriage is learning to love the sinner that you have married. That is what Christian marriage is. But there's this idea that the world sells that when you meet people, you can try them out or test them out as if they're a pair of jeans that you want to buy. And I believe that as human beings, we are deserving of so much more than being treated as just an option that somebody may or may not want. How many of us have had situations where we meet someone that we like and we're talking with them and then the person ghosts you or doesn't talk to you for like a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is? That sinking feeling that you feel in your belly is your soul protesting against being treated like something that can be easily discarded. And of course, I'm not saying that anybody you meet that has a bad character, you should just take the person. And I mean, if you watch any of my girl talk videos, you know that I'm strongly against my girls being with men that are badly behaved and my men being with women that are badly behaved. However, there is no perfect human being. Everybody on one level or the other is dealing with something. They are dealing with childhood traumas. They are dealing with, belief systems. They are dealing with money issues. They are dealing with maybe even abuse from their past. And how all these things show up in individuals are so different. So the idea that you have to live with somebody to know whether you can handle their baggage is just not the way God designed for us to interact with each other. Understanding Christian marriage is understanding that you will be married to somebody who needs your help, who needs your love, who needs your forgiveness. That is the pattern that Jesus Christ showed us. And the whole idea and concept of it is that Jesus Christ loved us so much that he gave up his life for us. Now we, in response to that love him back, right? That we are willing to give up everything because he has already given up everything for us. And that is how we should be in healthy Christian marriage. It is the man saying, I'm willing to give up everything that I have for you. And the woman saying, because you've done that, I myself will give up everything as well for you. It's both people forgetting about themselves and choosing to focus on the other person. And so for me, when I was dating, one of the ways that I tried to figure out certain things about my husband was going to visit him. I actually visited him and I saw that, okay, he's a neat person. And I visited him in his family house, right? I saw that, okay, he's neat. So there are certain things you may want to find out about someone, like, okay, are they dirty? Do they do the laundry? How do they relate with their family? It's easy to find out those things by being with them in public gatherings, by being with them with their own family, by visiting them, by spending an afternoon with them, by looking at their car, and by allowing time take its course. A lot of times whenever I hear people say, oh, people can really hide who they are, I'm sorry, I just believe that they are not being honest. And whilst that is true, that there are people who are very good at camouflaging their, intentions and all of that, there is a God that sees all, Jesus Christ. The second reason why I don't think you should cohabit is because it's not marriage, no matter how much you try to make it marriage. If I had taken the advice that I was getting in uni, where they would say, a guy says he likes you and he wants to date you, say yes, then spend some time living with him so you know whether he's someone you want to be married to. It's like, how many men am I going to live with? Like, I'm literally going to become the woman at the well that Jesus was talking to, that was saying, you are right, you have had 5 husbands and the one you are living with right now is not even your husband. Like, I'm literally going to be that woman, because how many men can you live with in the course of your life? And keep in mind that with every man you are living with, you're getting more and more jaded about men, because there was something that pissed you off about the last 3 men that made you not end up getting married to them for one reason or the other. So if anything, it's making you more irritated than ever before. And because it's not marriage, there are certain things that you cannot demand of the person that you're with. So for instance, whether we like it or not, there are roles in marriage. The woman is expected to take care of the home. home. And taking care of the home does not necessarily mean she has to be the one doing it, in terms of like she has to be the one cooking, cleaning, washing, cooking. She can oversee the people that do that, because that's what the Proverbs 31 woman did. She had lots of servants who were helping her run the home. But ultimately, that is like her major role, making sure that her husband is fed, her children are clothed, the house is clean. That is ultimately the woman's job. And then the man's job is to sort of provide leadership, to provide vision, to provide finances as much as he possibly can, and also to assist the woman in the things that she's doing where there's an opportunity for him. Like, they assist each other basically. Now, if I'm going to be dating someone and I'm living with him, he comes back home and is asking me, what are we eating? I'm going to ask him, say it with me, am I your wife? Because there are some things that are the role of a wife, and that is not one of them. Another thing, there are certain financial expectations you cannot have of a guy that you are dating, because if you move too much, they are going to call you a gold digger. However, if you are my husband, you have to give me what I'm asking for, because I am yours, say it with me, responsibility. So no matter how much you try to make it marriage, it is not marriage. There are just certain things that happen in a marriage that cannot happen in a relationship between a boyfriend and a girlfriend. And that leads me to my third point. Many couples struggle with the transition from cohabiting to marriage because there were issues that they maybe saw when they were cohabiting, that they felt, okay, once we marry, this thing will get better. And guess what? It does not get better. For instance, let's say you are cohabiting and you're sleeping with your boyfriend because he struggles with lust. And you think like, okay, if you give him that, he will not cheat on you. And then you get married and see that nothing has changed, that you are still dealing with the same things even as someone that is married. Whereas if you guys were not married or cohabiting and you were dating and you found out that this is something that the person that you are with is struggling with, this is something you can bring to your pastors, to your leaders. The person has space and time to work on it and to become a whole individual before getting married to you. Because at the end of the day, it's not your job to fix anyone. People should do the work on themselves. So me saying not to cohabit is not me advocating for blindness. I'm not asking you to be blind. I'm not asking you to do like as if you're not seeing anything. What I'm saying is that being separate and apart, not only is it honoring to each other and to God, it gives you the space that you need to be able to deal with the hard stuff that marriage will not allow you to deal with. Because by the time you are married, it's like you are in each other's faces. There's no space for you to deal with certain things in a way that may be healthy. And when you're dating someone, you can feel like it's not that deep, we're just having fun, we're just dating. By the time you are getting married, the situation is different. You need this person to be on their A game. That's where the friction now happens, because the person is now saying, boy, you've known that this is how I am. And that other person was hoping that when you get married, you will lock in. And it's just who the person is. They are not going to change because of marriage. So whatever you were overlooking because it didn't matter because you guys are just having fun, now you're married and it actually matters, and the man is irritating the heck out of you, and you're like, how did I get into this marriage? And that leads me to my fourth point, right? We've already spoken about it. Like, it makes you less patient, because let's say there were things you saw when you were dating and you thought that, okay, by the time you get married, these things will now resolve themselves, and it doesn't resolve itself. Your bandwidth is a lot lower. So you're just like, I've been telling you this thing for 6 years. I've been telling you this thing for 5 years. I've been telling you this thing for 4 years. Like, whatever it is, you're just over it because you hope somewhere within you that marriage will change them, and marriage did not change them. And instead, they maybe got worse, and you're just like, I cannot deal with this anymore. That's why we see a lot of Hollywood marriages crash, right? There's this very popular example of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. The foundation of their own relationship was already even shaky, because it was that, he was married, he went to work, had an affair with his co-star, then they started dating, blah, blah. They were sharp cohabiting. They even had children. They said they did not want to get married, blah, blah, blah. And then I think their marriage ended up lasting for, is it just a year or 3? So these people cohabited for 10 years and were married for 3 years or 1 year. Allegedly. Before somebody will slap me with a lawsuit. Allegedly. And you now see that, okay, we can be cohabiting for 10 years, but the minute we get married, it can't even last for up to 5 years while, calling it quits. Then all the stories start coming and people are saying, she's saying he was, abusing drugs, he was violent, he was this, he was that, allegedly. And you are living with this person. When you guys are dating, because the stakes are not high, you can overlook certain things. You're just like, I don't really care. But once you are married, and this is something that you have already been dealing with for a while, your patience is thin. And you're like, I can't deal with this anymore. And the marriage is more likely to crash. Another thing is that, this is just by the way, I think this will be the fifth thing. Cohabiting is selfish. It is not selfless. Regardless of the reasons why you are in that situation, you chose yourself. Does that make any sense? You are choosing yourself and your immediate comfort. You are not used to making hard decisions when it comes to your love life. When you get married, that switch is not going to automatically come. I've heard of people who were sexually active before they got married, and then when they got married, found out that it was difficult for them to trust their partner, because this was somebody who was sleeping with them saying, oh my goodness, I have needs. I cannot control myself. And now you're married and the whole excitement around it is gone, because now you have to get down to it is 50 years of your life. How does the Bible say that? I think it says stolen water is sweet, or stolen bread is sweet. When it feels like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this thing, it feels like, oh my goodness, it's so amazing, because that's what the flesh wants, right? The flesh wants sin. And then when it now becomes a duty, yes, in marriage, intimacy is a duty. It's no longer interesting. Then you are chasing that high that you got. Let me tell you something I saw some years ago that changed my life. It was a study that was done on sexual intimacy. I hope all this sex I'm talking about will not cause this video to be flagged, and hopefully everyone that is watching this is of legal age. But there was this study that it did where they found that when a man has intimacy with a woman outside of marriage, he imprints on his experience, not on the woman. So what his brain latches onto is the adrenaline rush of almost being caught, doing something bad, this and that. That is what the mind focuses on, and that is what the mind is chasing. The man who waits until he gets into marriage to be intimate with his wife bonds with the woman, and so what his mind is chasing is the woman. That is the reason why you will see men who are married to even the most beautiful women still cheating. Why? Because it's not about the woman, it's about the experience that he's still chasing. He wants to feel that thrill of, oh my goodness, someone is going to catch me. Oh my goodness, this is wrong. Oh my goodness, I should not be doing this. There's something that happens when he's having that experience. It feeds something in his brain or in her brain. And so what's coming to Christ does, even if you were sexually active in the past, is that it rewires your whole brain. It teaches your brain to imprint on your spouse, whether the man or the woman, rather than the experience of it. And so there is mistrust because the foundation is shaking, and you just feel, okay, if this person couldn't control themselves when we were cohabiting and sleeping together, why would they suddenly travel to Afghanistan on a missionary trip or for business and meet a hot woman and not do anything? There will always be that thought at the back of your mind questioning. But if over the course of your courtship, this person exercise restraint, show that they can control themselves, it helps you to be more at peace, even in your dating, relationship, all of that. Why? Because at the end of the day, self-control is not something that is needed just so that you can cross the finish line into marriage. You know, Apostle Paul, when he was writing his letter, bless his soul, wrote it in a time where one woman should have been enough for a man. He's basically saying, if you find that you're really thinking about this thing all the time, just get married so that you don't have to lust after women. And that was a solution. But today, we know that that is not even enough. That even men with the most beautiful of wives still find themselves compromised in one way or the other just because they did not exercise that self-control. So at the end of the day, your dating period is a training ground for a happy marriage. A happy marriage doesn't just happen. A happy marriage is something you intentionally work towards with the decisions and the choices that you are making and the person that you are becoming. One other very good reason, let's just call it number 6, is that you cannot plan towards the future properly. You guys are playing marriage. Can you buy a property together? Can you invest together? Can you even buy an animal together? Because you don't know whether tomorrow you people are going to be together. So even conversations about the future are a bit tricky. You don't want to say something because he doesn't want to be like, I don't want to say anything so that he will not think that I'm saying that he will marry me. Or to some point, some women are even now outrightly asking the man, when are you going to marry me? When are you going to come and meet my people? And because you guys are already living together, for a lot of men, there's no incentive to now go the extra mile to say, okay, let me make this formal. It feels like I have someone that I'm already thinking about. I'm working. I have this job that I'm trying to do. I'm climbing. And we're already having a system that is sort of working. I'm already getting the privileges of being married. So when I say privileges, I mean things like intimacy on a regular basis. Whether you like it or not, that is a privilege of marriage. If you're already already getting it on a steady. There's no urgency to say, okay, let me do this the right way. You are scared to ask, what are we doing? What are we? Like all of those types of questions, that tend to come up when you are cohabiting or not going about your dating the right way. And then the last thing that I would say is that marriage, as God designed it, was supposed to be difficult to get out of, because you are worth fighting for. Do you know that you are worth fighting for? When you get married, the person has to come and see your family. If you're in Africa, they have to get a list of things to buy to honor your family and your parents. They will come with their parents, with their siblings, with their uncles, with their aunties, with their friends. Everybody will gather and they will say, yes, we know these two people. They are actually doing something together. So if you do decide to call it off, it's not going to be at the slightest sign of something, the way you can if you are cohabiting or dating. When you are cohabiting and you are having intimacy with the person and all of that, and you guys have a fight, you can say, you know what, I'm done. You pack your things and you leave. And that is it. When you're married, you have to think, I'm going to have to tell my mom, tell my dad, tell my siblings, tell my friends. If I've posted about it on like social media, I'm going to have to bring that post down. I will need to say this and that. Just those simple things are the checks and balances that God has put in place in your marriage to make sure that it's difficult for you to get out of it and difficult for your partner to get out of it as well. So that both of you are forced to deal with the difficult things. Oh my goodness, if there was not that thought of, oh my goodness, having to unravel this thing, even having to go to court, start divorce proceedings, do this, do that, all of those things. Now, if we were cohabiting and there was no family involved, I can just pack my things and go back home, and then my mom will be like, oh, we are back from your trip or something. But if I pack my things and I go back home, my mom will be looking at me like, what are you doing here? This is not your house anymore. What are you doing here? And then you are forced to sit down and say, what did I do that wasn't right in my behavior? And instead of me to face the accountability that is coming, I'm thinking of running away because I've always been someone that runs when it's hard. Maybe I just need to fess up to, I did this wrong, I'm sorry. Maybe I did that wrong, I'm sorry. It forces you to fight for the other person. And if anything, it has made me feel more loved by my husband, saying that, okay, he sees what we have as something worth fighting for. And that's what I think marriage gives that cohabiting doesn't. Now, I understand that people end up in these situations for a myriad of reasons. Maybe you are from a very abusive home and you just wanted to escape for a bit. There's this person that has offered you a place to stay. Maybe in your family, there's no food, and it could be so many reasons. It's not always just like, oh, it's because you wanted to smash every day that you moved in with the person. Sometimes unfavorable situations, you came from a different city and you're looking for housing in Lagos and it has been so hard, and somebody offered to house you, and from there, that's how we started. Like, I understand all of those types of things. And if you are in that kind of situation, I want to urge you to, first of all, repent, tell God about it, apologize, truly make up your mind that you will not continue to live like that anymore. And then make a step to change, move out, move back home, or go to your pastorate. I'm such a fan of being part of the local church because it has enriched and blessed my own life so much. And one thing I know is that any church where you cannot get the support and the help that you need is not a church. There will be another woman that you can live with, or if you are a guy, another guy that you can live with. You don't have to live with the opposite sex to have safety from whatever it is that you may be trying to escape. You can room with your friend, you can room with someone from church, and if you get help from your pastor, they can even support you with rent, accommodation, with a job that allows you to have your own place. Because I know that life is stranger than fiction and there are all kinds of things happening. And then if you're somebody who has not yet done this, but you're thinking about it and thinking it might be a good idea, I hope that the things I have told you will be able to show you that that is not the best option for you, that God always has your best interest in mind. When God is, instituting all of these things, he says that the marriage bed should remain undefiled. It's not because he's a killjoy. After all, he's the one that made sex. He's the one that made intimacy. He's the one that made romance. He's the one that made love, because he is the giver of pleasure. The word of the Lord says that at his right hand, there are pleasures forevermore. God is the God of pleasure. So he's not against you having pleasure. However, he wants you to have pleasure in a way that preserves your soul. Your soul does not have to be fractured and damaged. You are not a pair of jeans that somebody can wear and decide that they don't want and then discard. That is what marriage is for, to protect you, to keep you safe, to make sure that, okay, if you do it the right, you are not going to end up as damaged goods. You are going to end up being honored, not just you, but your family, and you are going to have the kind of love that you have been looking for. The dream of every single human being is to be fully known and fully loved. What that means is that everybody wants someone who will see the worst of them and still say you. I choose you. Because that is the love we have with God. And that is the love we hope to receive from others. We are tired of masquerading. We are tired of having to be perfect. We are tired of having to, perform. We just want to be our full selves. And we want somebody to see that and love it and choose it. That is what doing things God's way gives you. Cohabiting will leave you broken and very hurt badly, especially if at the end of the day, it doesn't end up in marriage. And even if it ends up in marriage, you tend to have a very bumpy road ahead of you because of the way you choose to do it. So I hope this conversation helps in some way. I hope it has been convicting and not condemning. And I hope that we will just see more godly homes, godly children come out of godly homes. We don't want children born out of wedlock. We want children who are born to happy fathers and happy mothers. And if that has already happened in your case, it doesn't mean that God has turned away from you or that your children can never amount to something. No. But I'm speaking to people who can avoid it, right? If you speak to people who have done it the other way, the pain that they live with on a daily basis is out of this world. I just hope that this causes some sort of change in some way in your personal life and helps you to make the right decisions. One thing I always say is that life is hard. It doesn't matter what you choose. No matter which way you choose to swing it, life is hard. But the good thing is that when we choose the hard of God, at least there is a reward at the end. The reward is righteousness, love, peace, and long life, That is all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will see you in my next video.